Hey everyone, today we are taking a look at the new version 4 of the Wraith automatic from Heretic Knives. Let's go ahead and get the box open here. And these are really cool. So far, we've only gotten them in this Cel Shaded colorway, which is so cool. They even have to mark on the sticker here that this is not a toy, because it kind of looks like one. If you're familiar with like comic book, that really cool art style that is referred to as cel shading. It really dramatizes like angles and shapes, and especially the shading as the name implies. And I just gotta say, I am in love with these. When I first saw them coming through on like the Medusas, I knew I just had to have one at some point, because it was a few years ago now. I knew like one of the next big steps in the knife industry was gonna be cool, like unique colors and paint jobs. And this is exactly what I was hoping for. It just looks like you reached right into a comic book and plucked the knife out from it. So I want to go ahead and bring in just a few like of the different colors. So you've got red, turquoise, and my personal favorite, yellow. Man, they all just look so cool. And a really neat thing about them is you can see that they are pretty like uniform in their like look. Like you can see the same types of lines on all of them, but they are all actually like hand painted. So it's a DLC coating, hand painted, and then clear coated over from my understanding. So that'll help it be more durable. But man, for like an everyday carry of just like a cool art piece in your pocket, these are so freaking cool. So I'm really excited. But that out of the way, because that's not really just a feature of the Wraith here. Again, that's just from Heretic Knives. They're starting to do that on a few of their different models, but it was obviously a giant elephant in the room, so I had to talk about it. But now just talking about the Wraith itself. Now, the Wraith line isn't new to Heretic. It's been around for a while. Like, as I said, this is the version 4. But what is cool is all of the changes that have come to the version 4. Now, a lot of the previous ones like weren't numbered which version it was, so I'm not going to claim to be an absolute expert, but this is like the one that I was familiar with. I believe they've been running this model, so I'm guessing this is the 3 since about 2020 or so. But you can see like the changes in handle shape and all of that. A really cool update and upgrade to the new one. Since it is an automatic, it'll never be fully ambidextrous. But this is pretty dang close, because we do now have a reversible pocket clip. And again, this paint job carries over to the clip, which I think is super cool. The pivot has been beefed up a bit. It's got some collars there now. This one has a really nice like rubber grip insert that we've been seeing on a lot of Heretic models. And another big change is now the blades are in MagnaCut. As you would probably expect, the whole industry's pretty much been shifting over to MagnaCut, and for good reason. If you're not familiar, it's got an excellent blend of properties that make it great for everyday carry. You really shouldn't have to worry about rust. It holds a great edge, and it doesn't compromise on toughness either. So that's really cool. Of course, I need to show off the automatic action as well. So I'll let you hear just how snappy that is. It's crazy. That is one of the most like definitive autos I've felt. I love that there's, even to this day, there are some automatics that like, if you disengage and you pull it down, it won't continue to deploy. The spring only carries it about halfway. I can't stand that. I think that is a big flaw, but Heretic nails it. I really love a decisive auto. Like if you're picking up an auto, if the reason you're carrying an auto is because you want to be able to rely on it, I want to be able to rely on it. So they nail it. As usual, it is just Torx hardware on here, so really easy to maintain. I want to close this up so we can talk about the handle a little bit. As I mentioned, there is that cool grip tape that they got going on, but I really like how minimal the construction is on here. Like, I wouldn't describe this knife as minimal by any means, but the construction, like the screws and everything, they didn't go crazy with screws all over it. You've got the pivot, and then you've got the screws down here that hold in the clip, and that's it. So I am really, really impressed. I think visually that makes it a lot more appealing, and I'm just a really big fan of the aesthetics overall on this knife. And personally, that cel shading just amplifies it even further. That is an aluminum handle, and then you have that partial backspacer down there as well. So it still is pretty easy to clean out. It is not like skeletonized or anything in there, but it's not super heavy. Now I want to bring in a ruler here to show you the specs on this one. All right, so overall, you're looking at about 8 3/4. That's right at about 3 3/4 for the blade length, with just a little bit less cutting edge. I'll say that's 3 5/8. I'll bring in some size comparisons. Here is a Kershaw Launch. This is the Launch 21. You can see they're pretty comparable in size there. And then I wanted to bring in a Benchmade. This is the full-size version of the Tagged Out. You can see also pretty close there. Not exactly a 1-to-1, but it gives you a good idea of what you're working with. And then, of course, I have to bring in a scale here just to show off the weight. Let's go ahead and zero that out. Now, it's really not too bad in the weight department. Yeah, like 4.4 ounces, when if you look, it's pretty much, again, the same size as the old version of the Wraith. And this was like, again, integral carbon fiber and G10. So theoretically, it should be a lot lighter, but it's pretty much the same. So I think they did a great job with keeping the weight down on this one. I was really impressed with it. I'll also bring in the other ones here just for weight comparison. And there's that. So I'd love to know your thoughts on the Wraith version 4 here, and I'd especially love to know your thoughts on the cel shading. I know they've been selling extremely well, so I know at least their target market is eating them up, but I'd love to know what everybody thinks about it. Is it a little too much for you? Would you like these colorways but maybe without the lines? Or do you want to see even crazier colorways? So thanks so much for watching. As always, if you want to pick one of these up for yourself or just read more about it, there are links in the description box below. They'll take you on over to GPKNIVES.com. But before you leave, don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay sharp.